Years ago, my wife and I met a young couple who'd been married for a few years. This couple was from South Africa, and they shared with us an incredible story and testimony about family betrayal, the breaking of curses, and God's power. Here's their story.
We got married pretty young, and we were very much excited about starting our lives together. One thing that we agreed on pretty early was that we wanted children right away. So we started trying for kids. But as time went by, we began to realize that something was wrong. 2 years of trying and still no child. We had various tests done and the doctors found nothing out of the ordinary, but we simply could not get pregnant. At this point, we decided to involve the church and ask them to stand with us in prayer. One day, our pastor said something interesting. He said perhaps this is a spiritual problem rather than a physical one. I didn't know what to make of it. A short time passed and we invited him over to our home on a Friday night for an all-night prayer. He accepted and told us he would bring some of his own prayer partners to join. There was one man who came who was a missionary, traveling all around the world ministering to people. This man curiously asked for a tour of our home, and so we gave him one. As we walked through a certain corridor, my wife has a table where she has flowers and some ornaments on it. He stopped there and picked up one particular statue. It was a traditional African sculpture of a mother with children. He began to examine it and flipped it upside down so that we could see the bottom. Now at the bottom, there was some small writing carved out. As we all read it, it became clear it was a curse being pronounced upon the keeper of the sculpture, saying they will not bear a child. When we were asked who gave this to us, we knew it was my wife's aunt. She gave it to us as a wedding gift, and it was in our home since the very beginning. That night, we prayed against that curse, and for 7 days we all joined together in prayer and fasting so that the power of that thing would be broken. On the 7th day, we destroyed the sculpture. 3 months later, my wife was pregnant with our first child.
Learn this. Be careful concerning the gifts people give you. Not everyone is happy when you're blessed. Not everyone wishes you well even though they smile to your face. Always pray and speak the blood of Jesus to bind and break any and every evil spirit in your life or in your home.
A man went on a trip with a group of friends, and during the course of that trip, they met a local man who gave each of them souvenirs. Now, this particular guy took these souvenirs without knowing that those items were part of ceremonial practice that was evil and occultic in nature. When he got back from his travels, he placed these ornaments in his home. That very night, things started to change and things started to happen. He had opened a spiritual door wide open for the devil to walk straight into his home. He started to experience unusual things. There was unrest in his heart. He felt weighed down, oppressed even, like there was a massive weight on his shoulders. The sleepless nights and nightmares started. He became a man filled with fear. He became fearful of everything and anything. He started to experience all sorts of things that were not from the Lord simply because of a lack of knowledge and a lack of vigilance, a combination that left him spiritually open. So he confided in his father, who brought the pastor around to his home. During the conversation with this pastor and his father, the ornaments caught the pastor's eye. Where did those come from? He explained they were a gift from a local while he was on his travels. Did you ask what those items were? He shook his head. Do you know anything about the man who gave you these? He shook his head again. The pastor now took the items and said, "We need to burn these things. This is the cause for all the unrest you have been experiencing. You, my son, have been under spiritual attack." So they started a fire and threw the items in. 10 minutes passed, 20 minutes passed, and these items were not burning. They added a bit more fuel and gave it another 10 minutes. Nothing. No sign of those things burning. So both the pastor and father began to